When you walk into a birthday party, a street festival, or a school fair in 2026, you are almost guaranteed to see one thing: a giant, colourful, inflatable bounce house. They are huge, they are fun, and kids absolutely love them. But for parents and organisers, there is often a nagging question in the back of their minds. Are these things actually safe? It is a fair question. Over the last decade, we have all seen the news stories. We have seen the viral videos. It can be scary. But to really understand the safety of inflatables, we have to look past the scary headlines and dig into the real numbers. We need to look at the history, the statistics, and the simple truth about how accidents happen. This guide will take a deep look at the world of inflatables. We will compare them to the sports your kids play every day. We will uncover why they have a bad reputation. And most importantly, we will look at how to keep children safe. First, it helps to understand just how common these devices are. You might think bounce houses are a new trend, but they have actually been around for a long time. Inflatable bounce houses were first introduced way back in the mid-1950s. That means they have been part of our culture for over 70 years. Over those decades, they have changed a lot. In the beginning, the designs were simple. They were completely enclosed and usually had just one way to get in or out. Today, things are very different. The designs have evolved to include water features, giant slides, and complicated obstacle courses. They have gotten bigger, a lot bigger. Because they are so fun and exciting, the business of inflatables has exploded. Today, the inflatable industry is worth billions of dollars and reaches every corner of the world. You can find them at huge festivals, corporate events, and in backyards every weekend. Prices have become affordable, making it easy for almost anyone to rent or buy one. However, as the industry grew, so did the number of problems. Reports of injuries began to rise. This leads us to the big paradox of the inflatable world. Safety technology has come a long way, yet injuries are reported in greater numbers than ever before. Why is this happening? Are the bounce houses getting more dangerous? Or is something else going on? In July 2012, a medical journal called Pediatrics published an important article about this exact issue. The researchers found that the number of injuries related to inflatable bouncers had increased rapidly in recent years. They compared these injuries to the ones kids get on trampolines and said we needed better guidelines and safer designs. It sounds alarming when you hear that injuries are increasing rapidly. It makes it sound like the product itself is defective. But that might not be the whole story. The article in Pediatrics pointed out the need for improvements in design, but it failed to focus on the biggest reason injuries happen: improper use. The main reason we see more injuries today isn't because the bounce houses are more dangerous than they used to be. It is because there are simply so many more of them being used. Think about it this way. Inflatables have become a staple of American entertainment. Because they are everywhere at festivals, parties, and events, millions more children are jumping on them than ever before. When you have that huge increase in use, you are naturally going to see an increase in the number of accidents. To figure out if they are truly dangerous, we shouldn't just look at the total number of accidents. We should compare them to other activities that children do every single day. The comparison. Sports versus inflatables in 2026. This is where the numbers get really interesting. If you are a parent, you probably don't think twice about signing your child up for Little League Baseball, soccer camp, or basketball. You likely own a bicycle. These are seen as normal, healthy parts of childhood. But let's look at the injury statistics for those activities in 2026. The difference in scale is massive. 1. Organized youth sports. Organized sports are the #1 cause of emergency room visits for children aged 12 to 17. In 2026, there are an estimated 3.5 million emergency room visits related to youth sports annually. One of the big reasons for this high number is something called specialization. This means kids are playing just one sport year-round, instead of playing different sports in different seasons. This has led to a 500% increase in overuse injuries, like shoulder and elbow problems, since 2015. We are also seeing a 26% increase in ACL tears, a serious knee injury, among high school athletes. 2. Bicycling. Riding a bike is a classic childhood activity, but it is also one of the leading causes of injuries. In 2026, there are approximately 400,000 emergency room visits related to bicycles every year. While helmets have helped reduce minor head injuries, we are seeing a new trend. The rise of electric bikes, e-bikes, has led to higher speed. This has caused an increase in broken bones, specifically in the arm. Head injuries still account for 16% of all bike-related hospital visits. 3. Playgrounds. Even the local playground carries risk. In 2026, there are about 200,000 emergency room visits related to playgrounds. While softer surfaces like rubber mats have helped reduce the severity of some injuries, kids are still breaking bones on monkey bars and climbing frames. 4. Trampolines. Trampolines are often compared to bounce houses. In 2026, there are between 100,000 and 115,000 emergency room visits for trampoline injuries. A big change in recent years is where these injuries happen. There has been a shift from backyard trampolines to commercial trampoline parks. In 2026, 34% of all trampoline injuries happen at these parks. The injuries at parks tend to be much worse, with more than half resulting in fractures or dislocation. Now, let's look at the inflatables again. We just listed millions of injuries for sports and hundreds of thousands for bikes and playgrounds. Youth sports, 3,500,000 injuries. Bicycles, 400,000 injuries. Playgrounds, 200,000 injuries. Trampolines, 110,000 injuries. Inflatables, 20,000 injuries. When you compare the activities, inflatables sit at the very bottom of the list. Inflatables have had fewer injuries in 10 years than most popular sports have in just 1 year. The difference is staggering. If you look purely at the data, riding a bike or playing basketball is statistically much more likely to send a child to the emergency room than playing in a bounce house. Why do inflatables have a bad reputation? If the numbers show that inflatables are actually statistically safer than sports, why are people so afraid of them? Why does the industry have a poor reputation for safety? The answer lies in the nature of the accidents and how the media reports them. The wind factor. The most terrifying accidents involving bounce houses involve wind. Inflatables are designed to be light and to catch air. That is how they stay inflated. Unfortunately, this design also makes them act like a sail. If an inflatable is exposed to high winds, it can form a sail effect and lift off the ground. Even if the unit is anchored down, and even if there are children inside weighing it down, a strong enough wind can cause the inflatable to gain altitude very quickly. In 2026, we are seeing a rise in these wind-blown incidents. These are often catastrophic events where multiple children are hurt at the same time. When a bounce house blows away, it creates a very dramatic and scary image. News stations cover these stories because they are shocking. Seeing a giant colorful castle flying through the air grabs people's attention. As we navigate parenting in 2026, it is important to make decisions based on facts, not just fear. The statistics are clear. When you look at the raw numbers, inflatables are responsible for a tiny fraction of the injuries we see in childhood activities. Sports like basketball, football, and even bicycling send hundreds of thousands, even millions of children to the hospital every year. In comparison, inflatables result in about 20,000 injuries a year. The industry has grown into a billion-dollar global phenomenon for a reason. It is fun. But that fun comes with a responsibility. The danger of the bounce house usually comes from human error, letting too many kids in at once, mixing big kids with toddlers, or ignoring the weather forecast. The dramatic news stories about wind accidents are real and scary, but they are also preventable by simply deflating the unit when the wind picks up. So, the next time you see a bounce house, you don't need to panic. You just need to be smart. Check the weather, check the supervision, and make sure the kids are playing with others their own size. If you do that, the bounce house can remain what it was always meant to be, a fun, exciting part of growing up. Wow Inflatables takes your child's safety very seriously and takes every precaution to prevent dangerous situations. Call Wow Inflatables for your next event. Thank you.